to the show. I'm your host, Tania Reynoso, and we have a very special guest for you tonight. Our guest tonight is one of the founding fathers of our country. We would like to welcome none other than Benjamin Franklin to the show.
How do you do?
So, welcome to your show. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, it's an honor being with you. I'm so happy to be here. You're a wonderful host.
Thank you.
But no, I rode on my carriage over here and killed a few redcoats, average nights, you know.
Oh, yeah.
What us people from Boston do, you know.
Yeah. Oh, so you say you're from Boston?
I am from Boston, actually. I was born on Milk Street. Actually, soon my birthday's coming up. Speaking of when I was born, it's coming up. You gonna give me something? My birthday's on January 17th.
Oh, well, it would be a really pleasure to have you back in here.
I think we should do that for my birthday. I was born on January 17th, 1706.
That's a really long time ago.
Yeah, I'll be 305 years old, or 405. 305. I'll be 305 years old.
Wow, you have lived a lot of time. So, I hear you have a rich family history. Would you like to tell us a little bit about it?
Well, actually, Tanya, I have a very interesting family history. My father, his name is Josiah Franklin, and he came from Acton, Northampton, and he immigrated to Boston and everything. And he was a soap maker and a candle maker, and you know, that's what he did for a living. My mother was the second wife, actually, but her name was Abia Folger. And there were 17 children in the household, and I was the 8th child. But, you know, it's cool. I mean, it's fun growing up in a household with so many kids. It's a lot of stuff to do, lots of activities.
Oh, so your father was a soap maker and a candle maker. That's really interesting. And you were the 8th child out of 17? A lot of siblings. How was that?
Yeah, Tanya, that was very interesting, actually. I liked my childhood. There were 17 kids in the household, you know. I had 16 siblings. There was always something going on in the household, playing around and everything. But speaking of the soap, I brought some my dad's recipe and everything. I think they call it a recipe, but some of the stuff, I think you'll love it. It's from centuries ago, you know, that recipe is.
A lot of history in it.
It is. Yeah, go ahead and smell it, Tanya. It's got a rich history. My father made that.
Yeah, it definitely smells like liberty. So, tell me about school. How was it in that days? Was it hard? Did you went often?
Yeah, actually, I went to Boston Latin School. My father couldn't afford to have us all go to school very long. All the boys went to school pretty much, but you know, I only went 2 years out. From the time I was 8 to 10 years old, I went to Boston Latin College, school. Excuse me, like I said, but you know, it's okay because in those times you didn't really need an education. I mean, I'm a founding father. Hey.
Oh, very interesting. Just 2 years of school.
Yeah, just 2 years, you know, but I mean, it's okay because in that time it was a little different than nowadays, but you know, my father wanted me to be a minister because we were a very Christian household and everything. That's what he had planned for me to do, but I decided I went into fun of that. I mean, I'm a Christian and everything, but I went into fun of that. So I decided I wanted to be I liked reading. I loved reading, actually. And so I went to be an apprentice with my brother, printmaking, and learned all that kind of stuff.
So you were in the printing business. How was it working with your brother?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was okay, but he kind of ticked me off a bit because he started a newspaper and he didn't let me print in it. And, it kind of ticked me off a little bit, you know. And I still haven't really gotten over it. I need a moment.
We'll be right back to the show. So, welcome back to the show.
I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to, I'm just really hurt by that.
And, well, we all have weak moments, right? Don't we? Of course we does. So, let's keep going in your history. Tell me more about it.
Well, actually, at 17, I was 17 years old at that time, and I ran away to Philadelphia. I was still mad, and so I ran away to Philadelphia. And at first, it was tough finding jobs and everything, but eventually, I found many jobs with several different printmaking companies, and eventually, I started my own newspaper. So.
Oh, I bet that was really tough.
Yeah, I was very young.
You were really young.
Especially since I'm 305 now.
Let's change pace and talk about your love life. Were you married?
Well, as a matter of fact, yes, I did get married. I was 17 years old, and Deborah, my wife, my future wife at that point, she was 15 years old, and her mother didn't approve of it, but, you know, the rebel inside of me said, marry her anyway, and it turned out for the good.
Oh, wow, that's so young. Did you have any children together?
As a matter of fact, yes, we did have children. We had 2 children, and I was very heartbroken when I was sitting next to the deathbed of my oldest child. He died of smallpox, and but it's okay. We made it through with the trust of God and everything.
That's terrible. But how was the rest of your marriage?
Actually, the rest of my marriage went out pretty well, But my wife sadly died of stroke
Oh my god.
shortly
That's
after
even
that.
sad.
But it's all right. I trusted in God and everything. It was good. Being the good Christian I am.
Yeah. And now we're gonna go to a break.
McRib tastes like Liberty.
And now we're back with our guest, Ben Franklin. You're one of the most famous historical figures of all times. Let's talk about your contributions.
I don't mean to brag or anything, but a big contribution to society that I did was that I co-founded, I can't give all the credit to myself, but I co-founded the Daylight Savings Time. And that's why it's dark out there, people. Y'all see that? It is dark out there. You see the reflection and everything because of Daylight Savings Time.
Wow, interesting.
Very interesting. I like to give myself credit for that.
Ooh,
Oh my God.
how interesting. What else?
I think you'll find really interesting is I'm the most famous for I went outside one night. It was thundering and lightning real bad, and I had a kite and a key on the end because I was trying to discover electricity, and I succeeded after many times doing this. But I went out there and flew the kite with the little key, and there was a bottle. The key was in a bottle, and I was flying it, and that's how I discovered electricity. I can't gather all the information as to figure out how y'all got all this electricity in a little ball to exert light that candle does. I mean, oh my God.
Just, take it easy. Come on, sit down again.
It's fascinating. What are you talking about?
Well, I know it's
can't
really
believe it.
fascinating, and we own that to our...
Who invented that? I want to know who invented it because I tried to invent.
So I heard you're a really talented musician.
I'd like to think so. I composed lots of music. I played the violin, the harp, and also the guitar. Another thing, Tanya, is Thomas Jefferson may be credited for writing the Declaration of Independence, but I sure as heck edited that thing, and I want some credit for that one.
Oh, so he was taking all the credit and leaving you out of it.
Also, a few years later, I was the 6th president of Pennsylvania.
Oh, and thank you for being in our show tonight. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure. And remember my birthday, January 17th.
Oh, I will remember it, and we will have you back in
I will be
this
305 years old.
That's a long time to run.
Yes. And I run too.
And I will see you all next show.